Hey everyone, welcome back. It's Mr. Shit. So, in my last video, I talked about going the extra mile slash having one-on-one time with your counterpart, manager, boss, client, whatever, whoever you work with, uh, to get some insights as well as build a relationship. So that was part one of going the extra mile. Here's the example of this part two of the going the extra mile, which is recently my client counterpart, uh, we were on a one-on-one, monthly one-on-one, and he didn't ask me, he was casually telling me, right? Because in corporate, in business world, when people need you, unless they're paying for it, they will not tell you directly. They're just gonna share their fuzzy idea. So remember that. It's very important if you're gonna get into business or if you aspire to be in leadership position, you know. So this project manager, he was telling me, Sajid, we are getting ready to do our CEO is getting ready to do a demo for this government agency whose name I shall not take here. And, you know, the two guys were working, Fabian and Teja, they're stuck and they're not able to make much progress, and we could use your help because I know you have experience with this topic. And the topic was robotic process automation. If you have not heard of robotic process automation, uh, trust me, you are not alone. Very few people know it, but it's basically what robotic process automation does. It's basically taking manual tasks that a human being would do, taking like say data from this database, reviewing it, checking for certain things, and then moving it into another database, which is a highly manual task. And a lot of legacy organizations such as government agents, federal government agencies here, they have millions and billions of records of old data that archive, and they need to sift through it right now to find meaning and find information, right? So they're very interested in robotic process automation. But coming back into it, so he was like, I know we could use your help and expertise, and if you have time, this is how he said it. Listen to this. Only if you have time, I would could you get on a call with them and help them out or give them some ideas? If you have time, no obligations, nothing like that. I was like, okay, I will. I'm very busy for the rest of the day today. It was a Monday afternoon. It's like my calendar is booked, but tomorrow I will find some time and get on a call. Lo and behold, Tuesday I get on a call with them, and they're talking about robotic process automation, what they've done, and the product they're using here again is Kofax. They have it's a company, software company, like there's Kofax and there's UiPath. But anyway, that doesn't matter. But they're using Kofax, and I know Kofax quite well. I know robotic process automation. I've used Kofax in the past. Yeah, that's the geek side of me. But I used Kofax in the past, and not a distance, but very recent past. And I got on a call, and they were talking about all the challenges, like how they're able to take the data from one source, which is one governmental website, and then be able to move it to another database. And they're like struggling with man, manipulating it. So I gave them some suggestions, and they were like, "Yeah, but I do not know how if that will work." The project manager was also on the call, and he was like, "I do not know if that will work. I do not know if we can do it." I was like, "You know what? Fine. I will go ahead and show you a demo, a working demo of what it matters." Right. So on Tuesday afternoon, and by the way, this is not a paid engagement. This is not something we are billing for. But I was like, you know what? If it helps, I will show you uh, what it may look like. And because you're not getting help from Kofax yet, and you're on a limbo, let me show you and let me do it, and then figure out, right? And then I will just show you a very rough demo, a proof of concept. They're like, okay, fine. If you have time, do it. If not, no rush, no pressures, no nothing. I was like, no problem. So Tuesday, I end up actually working a little extra. I put in about a 4 hour extra that evening and kind of built a small demo for them to show them. And on Wednesday morning, I kind of shared with them, hey, here's what I have done, here's what we've done, and here's what you should do, and things like that. And then by then, the Kofax vendor came in, and they were saying the same thing I told them. And I was like, look, guys, I told you, this is what you need to do. This is how you do it. And then the Kofax vendor helped them a little bit more, and they eventually did the demo yesterday, and apparently the demo went well. So what's the moral of the story? The moral of the story is not that I'm awesome. The moral of the story is that I ended up going that extra mile, spending like about 5 hours extra of my time, right? That I or my company, my business will not get paid for directly. We will not put a line item on the invoice that says, oh, we spent so much extra time for you, now pay us, right? But what did I do? We went above and beyond to help this client out. And when they get this project, who are they going to talk to? When they get this project and they need people, resources, when they need help, they need expert advice, who are they going to come to? Who do you think they're going to come to? Number one. Number two, even if they don't get the project, who are they going to count if they have to choose between getting rid of two vendors, one that has gone the extra mile and has something dependable, reliable, and they can count on, and versus one that just shows up, does the work that they were assigned to do, and then they're like, sorry, it's not on our scope of work. Sorry, it's not our statement of work. Sorry, it's not on our invoice contract. We cannot do it. Who do you think they're going to keep? These are the nurturing that we do to keep a client happy and keep a client long enough. Like, forget about all this. This may probably doesn't matter. Have you ever been to a restaurant where, I don't know about you, but I will talk about the restaurant I go to. I still do, even though we do carry out, is that guy, he sees me almost so frequently. He knows me. When we call him to order, he knows our voice, because I asked him, how did you know it was us? He's like, oh, you have called us so many times. I figured out that if this is how you talk, because a lot of people call in, right? He goes, and what does he do? Sometimes he will like put in some extra food, extra stuff. He's like, oh, I like you guys. Here you go. And what does that make us do? Makes us feel great, makes us feel special, and we end up, giving him more tip. I'm telling you, if you, that's what you do. If you go to a restaurant and they says, what, if here is something extra, here is a, dessert on the house. Here is, I talked to my manager, here's the extra dessert. Here is an extra bread. Here is extra water or extra whatever. How does that make you feel? Oftentimes, people end up working and showing up like prisoners, right? I've worked 20 some years myself as an employee, and then, obviously I have people working with me now. Oftentimes, people show up as prisoners. And you know how prisoners show up for work? They're not happy to show up. They just show up because they have to show up, right? If not, they're going to be incarcerated or they're going to be whipped. That's why they show up, they grumble, they show up with the heads down, and they move their body, and they have to slowly do what they have to do. And they're like, God, I'm glad. Am I glad the day is over? And then they get on the bus and they go back. That's how prisoners show up. Very seldomly would you see prisoners show up where, they're excited, they're cheery. They're like, I'm glad this is an opportunity, right? I'm glad, because they know they have to show up. They just have to do that grind and do everything like that. So by saying going the extra mile is like, folks, what I'm trying to tell you is this is not a mumbo jumbo, advice that you should do and I don't do, because I should do still share things that I'm doing right now, and I will be passing it on to my children, right? To deliver more than what you're getting paid for. Sajid, I only get paid for 40 hours a week. Oh yeah? Okay, do it. Your boss, your employer will tolerate you for as long as they have to tolerate you, and then the moment comes when they have to choose you versus you, 40 hours, versus someone else who's putting in the hard work, extra work, and actually making the company go faster, move, getting an edge? Who do you think they're going to choose between the two? How do you think we used to do layoffs? I do not know if you've ever done a layoff. As a manager, I had to decide who to get rid of, right? That's a very hard decision when you are a manager and you've been told from senior management that, oh, you need to cut two people from your team. Who are the two people you're going to pick? Based on what, based on what criteria? If everyone has the same title, right? Assuming everyone has the same title, who are you going to pick to cut? My question is that. Who would you pick? A guy who shows up 100%, 110% and puts in, 110%, or a guy who just shows up at 90% or just does 100%? You decide, right? I had to do that. I had to do that. That's the hardest thing. That's a hard thing, I will tell you, because your decision affects the person you're doing it to, and the person and the business as well, right? And your own employment as well. What do you do? So I hope this serves you well. I went long and deep on this because this is super important. Going the extra mile, going the extra mile, going the extra mile. Because if you don't go the extra mile, folks, you will not grow. It's like if you always do five five sets of the same workout every day, your muscle atrophy, you go into this plateau effect, right? You don't grow anymore. If you are into workout, you know that you have to do progressive overload, or you need to, like, if you're doing 20 pounds, you did 20 pounds last week, you got to do 25 pounds this week, right? And you got to probably increase the rep count by one more, right? Or if you want to stay at 20 pounds the same as last week, you got to increase the rep count one more, because you got to change something. You got to go a little bit extra. But Saji, does that mean can I have to work 80 hours a week? No, you just have to put in a little bit extra. Just make the organization move faster, achieve the organizational goal faster, and they will be happy. You'll be happy. Everyone is going to be happy. So I hope this helps. Take care. Bye bye.